Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thursday. Can't believe it's Thursday already. The week is flowing by. Welcome to our weekly workshop for Jobman software. And today's topic is tracking productivity. So welcome along. Thanks for giving up an hour of your time this morning to go through and learn some more valuable information and usability of the Jobman software. For those who are joining for the first time, my name's Aaron, also known as Ollie here at the Jobman HQ. I'll be taking you through this morning's workshop. So let's dive in and look at this topic a little bit further. So just a little bit of a welcome, just to let everyone know, this workshop is being recorded and will be available for participants within 24 hours of the session being completed. You will notice that participants will be on mute during the session and have to listen to my beautiful voice for the next hour. You can only be invited to talk by the host, which is me. There will be a Q&A section towards the end of the workshop. So if you do have any questions, you can simply type these in the Zoom Q&A area as we go along. And when we get to the Q&A part of the session towards the back end, I will go through and answer those questions. So just to slide this over here, everyone can see the Zoom toolbar. Basically, if you just put your questions in this Q&A area, those will come through and I can go through them when we get to that part of the workshop. Look, don't stress if you do need to leave early. If you've got other meetings or you're fighting fires this morning, no problem at all. You can leave the webinar at any time just by exiting the Zoom session. Okay, let's dig a little bit deeper. So just a little bit of introduction. Some of you are joining us for the first time. Some of you are joining us maybe for maybe the fifth or sixth time. So the purpose of these workshops is to provide our users with feature updates as Jobman week to week is developing further, and to also educate our user network on best use of the spotlighted topic, which will leave you with a greater understanding how the software is designed to flow. This ongoing education is to ensure that your company has a greater job cost control and automation of your end-to-end job management using the Jobman software. Okay, let's dig deep into today's workshop, today's agenda. So why it is important to track staff productivity, something that we're going to look at to begin with. Then I'm going to overview some of the tools that help track productivity. Going to look at obviously how this is an actual automated process. It's pretty much driven by your staff using the time and attendance, which we went through about 2 or 3 weeks back in another workshop. So again, just trying to tie this little bit of a jigsaw puzzle together. Also, there will be a live demo. So I'm going to obviously demo some of the key usability features live so we get a greater understanding of how they work. And then obviously there's an opportunity for questions and answer time. Also with questions, don't be afraid. If you feel like your questions are a little bit silly, there is no silly questions on these workshops, as I say each week. Your question not only gets you the answer that you're looking for, but also potentially helps someone else out who is on line at the moment. Okay, so let's get started with this morning's topic. Just if, again, the first time that you've joined us, I've got a few little slides that I've put together. I like to sort of start this session with a little bit of content with some screenshots before we get into the live demo, just so that we can get a little bit of a background and a little bit of a purpose to what this topic's all about. So why is it important? Having both office and factory staff recording time and updating the percentage progress of a task that any staff member is currently working on will then automate the task completion progress in multiple places in Jobman, such as the user dashboard, which we'll look at shortly, agenda screens, and also activity screens. This provides an organization at a glance to see the current progress of leads, jobs, and projects at their fingertips and without having to ask multiple other staff within the organization. Just a little bit of a note here, agenda screens will show job/lead task information and progress, while activity screens show what staff have actually been working on and the total duration of time recorded in the present day thus far. So there is a little bit of a difference there between what is an agenda screen and what the purpose of an activity screen is. We are really going to get into that today and see there is a difference between the two, different purpose and use, which will really benefit you guys in understanding that and what the differences are. Okay, so let's kick off with staff activity screens. These are to show what staff are currently recording time and what the task they are currently working on. Activity screens can be viewed on a user dashboard, as I've highlighted here in this screenshot. So typically, this is a office user view when they obviously log in and are using Jobman on a PC or laptop or a desktop. Obviously, on your dashboard, you have the ability to have agenda screens, and then over here on the right, you've got the ability also to have activity screens. So this is one area where you can actually view it. The other area I've got here, staff activity screens continued. They can also be shared by using the public view link, which allows an organization to display the activity screen on a TV or tablets in a factory area, with staff only being able to view the recorded activity. So I've just put a little screenshot here. So this is something that you may pick up straight away out of today's workshop. You can actually share a public link of an activity screen. So if you have a activity screen set up for your whole company with all your company staff, or say you've got one set up specifically for all factory staff, you can actually share this, and then you can actually put this, if you wanted to, on a big screen TV that's fixed to the wall. And then as staff are updating by logging time against an actual task on a job, lead, or project, that is going to continually update that screen. So it's not actually driven by someone actually sitting there and updating. Okay, let's dive into setting up activity screens. So these can be set up under the settings, and I've put here activity screens, and provide further customization of how an organization requires the activity screen to display, from an individual, a small group of staff, to an entire company on the one screen. So we will look at this in the live demo, but you can just see here from this screenshot here, you can obviously name the activity screen. You've got the filter here for either all or selected staff. And then you've got your from and to time. So you can set your time to be capturing from the very first person that comes in, and then you can set your to time to the very last person that leaves. So it does provide you with that further customization. Okay, so when setting up a new or editing an existing activity screen, an organization will be able to add in the screen name, select either all or selected staff, and also apply the from and to time for the screen. So that's obviously highlighting that section, which I just touched on before. Give it your name. Now you can make up multiple screens. So you could make up, as I said, one for a department. So you could say factory, you could do one for installers, you could do one for like office staff, or if you've got a large drafting team or a large sales team. That's what the purpose of the name is. So you can actually name it in reference to that. And then instead of using all staff, you would use selected, and then you would actually select which staff you want to assign to that activity screen. But we'll look at that in a moment when we get to the live demo. And again, you can have different screens with different from and different to times. So there's lots of flexibility there to customize activity screens to how you want them set up. Okay, so viewing activity screens. To view the staff activity can be accessed by the dashboard, which I showed before. Simply click on the activity screen and it opens up as shown below. Or if you're viewing the public link, these are designed to continually update as the time is being recorded by staff on tasks throughout the day. So this is just an example here of the dashboard view. You can actually see up the top the name of the screen. You can see the number of staff, and then as staff start recording time, you can see here over to the left, it's only got 1 on this example, and over to the right here, it's got 36 staff on this screen. These, just to note, these are traffic lighted, so there's different colors, red and green. So red basically means that not all the staff have actually started recording activity for the day. Green means that all staff on that screen are recording activity. You can see that you can have staff on the same activity screen in multiple time zones. So you can see this example here, Bob Morley, he's in Melbourne time zone, and then the rest of the staff are in a Perth time zone. So that's just set up by nominating or assigning the actual time zone in the actual staff profile for that staff person. And you can see on this example here, only 1 staff is actually recording time, and this is the recent task. Again, these are color coded, so once they start recording time, it's designed to show the activity time recorded as black. If there's no time recorded, it shows as red. Okay, so let's move into agenda screens. So agenda screens, these are designed for the purpose of providing staff with an overview of what task they should be working on right now. So obviously the task at the top, and also what is coming up next. The screens will update task progress and duration, and also show when tasks are completed with the target date due on a lead, job, or project workflow. Okay, so again, from a Office user, you can see that I've got the dashboard, and as I mentioned at the very start, over to the left here, I can actually have all the different agenda screens. So the purpose of agenda screens is to have them sort of broken down into sort of maybe department sort of based. So you can see here we've got like assembly, you might have one for cutting or for CNC, you may have one for drafting. You can even have these for leads. So you can even have these if you've got multiple estimators or multiple salespeople. You could have like a leads, or you could have a sales agenda screen. So the purpose is to have them broken down more so that we can actually filter specific tasks only to that agenda screen. Okay, so agenda screens are more task focused and provide the required staff with the necessary info for the lead, job, or project. As shown here, you can switch between pending and completed tasks. You can see the task name, target date due, or target due date, the task duration, budgeted, and recorded. So yes, over here, obviously coming into the agenda screen, you can see that you've got the option here. By default, it's going to come up always as pending. That's the main priority. It's the main focus. We are wanting to see this top one at the moment, the one we should be working on right now, because the target date, Jobman has the intelligence to sort itself out. The target date due closest to today is always going to be the one that they need to work on. Anything that's further away, so anything that's like 2, 3, 4 days, multiple weeks away, that will sort order itself out automatically on the screen. This is not a really good example because you can see that these target dates aren't being completed as they should be. And that's why you get all these red colors. If they're obviously a couple of days away from the target date due, or even a day away, you'll notice that they'll stay in black. The good thing is you can also see, you can also turn on some other columns, and we'll get to that in the live demo. So you can actually customize these. That's something that we've recently added to the agenda screens in the last couple of weeks, is the site address, which is quite an important thing, especially for installers, or a lot of factories do work off not only the customer name, but they also do work off the address. You can see over here, you've got the time. So we've got the time recorded. Obviously, if there's more time or it's gone over time, this is designed to change to red. So it shows you straight away that they've spent more time on the actual task or the actual job tasks thus far. You can see here you've got what I mentioned, budgeted and recorded. So you can see that you've got the 0 here on this one, means that no time's been recorded thus far, and this is the budgeted time here. The top one, you can see that this is just an example, but it's actually gone over. It's like 28 hours and 30 minutes of 2 hours. But you can see that's what's going to happen when they start recording time on these. And then over to the far right, you've got the progress. So this is a progress bar. And this is simply being controlled when staff are not only logging time, but when they pause or when they log off, they'll be prompted automatically. And we saw that when we did the time and attendance a few weeks back, where they just slide the progress bar. It's a self-estimate of, whether they've done 20%, 30%, 50%, but they can use these hours as a reference as well. If the task is 2 hours and they've done an hour of it, then they can update the progress to being 50%. Okay, so agenda screens continued. Agenda screens can be viewed from the user dashboard, PC or kiosk mode, or you can actually display these on a tablet or TV. You can share the public link, meaning it's a view only to that actual TV or tablet that you want to put it on. So I've put 2 screenshots here. They look almost identical, but there are some subtle differences. So this is obviously a view from an agenda screen from actually a dashboard. Now, dashboard, you do have we call this user dashboard because you can have your own user dashboard when you're an office user, but so do kiosk staff. So factory staff using kiosk mode, they do have a dashboard as well, which they can access the agenda screens, especially if they're assigned to an agenda screen. So they'll look pretty similar. And what we mentioned in time and attendance a few weeks back, they are actually going to be clicking on these tasks and actually starting, pausing, logging off or stopping their time recording and updating the progress. Now, over to the right here, there's some subtle differences, but this is the public view. So you could actually put this on a big TV, have it up in the factory area, and this is just a view only. So this would just be designed just to update automatically every, say 30 seconds or so, that there's no actual mouse movement on the actual agenda screen. And this would just continually update throughout the day. So there are some subtle differences. You can notice down the bottom here, there's no actual, line items per page. Again, you'd have to turn on the columns that you actually want to see, and I'll get to this in the demo on how we can actually share this public link. But you're really just seeing the most important information. You're not actually logging any time on this mode. You're just basically putting it on the screen for staff to be able to see it. Okay, the setup of agenda screens. So agenda screens can be easily set up under settings, agenda screens page. You will have options to create a new or update an existing screen. So you can see here from this screenshot, under your user menu panel down the bottom, you've got settings. You'd obviously go into agenda screens. You've got the ability to create. Now you can create as many agenda screens as your organization needs. And as said, it's best to sort of break these agenda screens down and base it on sort of areas. So you can do like assembly, you can do quality check if you need to, you can do dispatch, you can do cutting and edging, or you can call it machining, you can do drafting. You could even do like a pre-production. So you could actually do like certain tasks that show on there before it gets to the drafting team, etc., etc. You can see here that you can click on an existing agenda screen name, you can open it up and you can update it further. So agenda screens can be further customized as shown here. You can update the name, you can apply a message, you can apply filters, you can assign staff members, you can share the screen, public view, or you can delete the screen. So this here gives you the ability to update it. This here gives you the ability to put a message. Now with the message, that's a permanent message that stays on the screen. It's not designed to update. So it's a permanent message. So you could put a safety message or maybe a reminder to staff, like something like, please log all your time against the job tasks or the lead task for that particular screen. And we're going to look at the filters in just a moment, but members, you can share it and you can delete it. Okay, so the most important setting for an agenda screen is the setup of the filters. This allows either all or selected types, statuses, operations, and labour centres to be applied to provide a specific selection to only be displayed for the required staff. So I've highlighted this section here, so you can select the types. So that's either going to be lead, job, or project types. In most cases, you'd probably do all, because you want to basically capture all of the jobs or all of the projects or all of the leads on that particular screen, but you can break them down to selected if you really want to. Again, you can do statuses, so you can do either all statuses or you can do selected. Like if you're going to set one up for, let's say, CNC or machining, it makes sense to go selected as your status, because then you can actually pick up the machining as the status, because you don't really need any other statuses before or after. Same with operations. You can do all, or you can actually filter selected and select specific operations, which are then going to allocate to display on that screen. Same with labour centres. You can either do all or you can do selected ones. Okay, so just moving on before we get into the live demo, other productivity tracking is something that I do want to highlight because there is more ways to visually see the task progress in Jobman is via the lead, job, or project dashboard. So as highlighted here, you can see under the example job dashboard, the number of tasks completed. So it's got 0 of 26. And the pending tasks currently in progress. So you can see here, like when you actually do come into the jobs area and you actually go into a specific job and you're actually looking at the job card, by default, you come up to the dashboard. So if tasks had been completed on this example here, in the left, it would actually show you the number of tasks that are completed out of the number of tasks that are on that current job workflow. And it would work out a percentage of what's actually completed thus far on the job. Remember, when we're getting it to the last task underneath sort of job completed as the step, that's going to be 100%. Pending tasks. So again, like we want to see what's actually been worked on currently. Look, we probably do have some room here in the future to probably look at not only pending tasks, but maybe underneath we could probably see at a glance what's actually been completed. So that's something that we could probably look at putting into this sort of area as well, because then it just makes it nice and easy, nice and quick. We can just come in at a glance and have a look at what's actually pending, so what's been worked on currently and what has actually already been done without having to click into tasks. So other productivity tracking options, also under staff, only if you're an office user and only if you've got the set staff permissions, you can actually open up a staff member. You can click on the tasks tab in their profile, and you'll see tasks worked on by the staff member. These can also be clicked on to open further and view for the time recorded and the progress percentage completed for tasks. So yes, if you really want to drill or deep dive further, you can actually go into an actual staff, into the staff section, open up a staff member, and you'll actually see under their profile, if you click on tasks, you've got that option there to obviously view a history of the tasks that they've worked on. Okay, so let's head into a little bit of a demonstration. So let me just pull this across here. All right, so what we want to do first of all, I'm going to scroll down. I just want to go to settings and explain a few things. I always feel it's really important that you've got a good understanding, or you've got these things set up properly, because if you don't, or you don't pay enough sort of attention to detail to it, then they're probably not going to work as expected to. So under settings, obviously we've got activity screens, you can see here, and we've got obviously agenda screens. Let's look at activity screens first. So as I said up the top here, I can create one. So if I go create, as I said, I could go and call this one installers, especially if I've got an install team and they're actually logging time against like the install tasks of jobs. So that's the name of the screen. Then underneath that, I've got staff. So at the moment, that's currently on all. So that just is going to pick up all staff that are active in your software. So you can actually apply the selected filter. So you can actually go expand this out, go selected. And you can then get that second line, which is going to allow you to open up the staff list and select certain staff only. So you can go, yep, I'm going to select this person. Now you can do one or you can do multiple. I'm going to do this person and this person and this one. So that's the install team. Now, they typically would start from, say, 7 a.m. So you can literally type that in, or you can click on the clock here. So by clicking on the clock, it just allows you to adjust the hands on the clock face. Obviously, you've got options here for AM and PM. And then when you've selected the time, you can go OK. And then your end time, which is what we call 2 here. And you might say, yep, they work till 4. So we're just going to slide that back an hour. Cool. And then when you're happy with that, you can go create. And that's as easy as that. Now, in future, if you want to come back and you want to update it, you can obviously click on update, and that allows you to update the screen. So you could rename it, you could add more staff to it, etc., etc. You could change the time, the from and the to if needed. You can save those changes. If you cancel, obviously, it's just coming out of there and not saving any changes. Now, with this members, you can actually assign this to particular members to be able to view it. So click on members and you can say, well, at the moment, this staff member here is going to be seeing it, but I can select more staff. So I can say, yep, Bob needs to see it. And so does Cameron. So then these 3 people, when they log in on their dashboard, being Office users, they're the ones that are going to actually see that. So that's what that members thing does. So that's just assigning those members to be able to view it on their dashboard. This was what I was mentioning before. So you can actually share this. So if you want to share this as a public link, you basically click share. You've got a copy here. So what you would do is, now if you're going to share this on a TV, there's a little bit of a trick to it. So you would actually have to log in like I'm logged in at the moment using my Jobman on the TV. Then what you would do is you would come into the settings, you would come into activity screens, you would open up the screen that you want to actually share as a public link or public view. You click on the share like I've done there, you click copy, and then what you do is you open up a new browser window, and then you basically right click, you paste that in, and you can click on go. And basically that is the public view of the screen. So then what you could do is just come back in here and you could log yourself out and close down that browser window. So then that there is the public view. Now staff will not have any access to this other than the time that they're recording either by their phone or by tablet. This is just going to stay on display throughout the day on the screen, and all they're going to see is just update as the day goes by. So that's a little bit of a trick to how you can actually do that. So that's what the share link's all about. Obviously, if I don't want it anymore, I can obviously delete it. It doesn't fully delete out of your software. It will go to trashed items. So you can obviously pull it back up again if you want to start using it. Again, if you want to delete multiple out, if you set up multiple and then things change down the track and you don't need them anymore, then you can obviously delete multiple by ticking those filters. And then with selected, you can delete. Same thing when you obviously do delete them, they obviously go into your what we call deactivate or deleted section. So you may have some in there that you can actually pull back out again. But that's typically how that works. So from a viewing perspective on your dashboard, so if you're a dashboard user, you'll see As I said, over here under your activity screen, this is the one I just added. So obviously assigning myself as a member, that now becomes a activity screen for me to view on my dashboard. Now, when I open one up, as I said, like that gives me a view. I can actually hover over these columns. I can actually click on that little down arrow. I can customize these columns. I can also turn certain columns on or off. So at the moment, that's the only 3 columns that we've got available. So, you know, obviously if you unselect them, then it obviously hides them. Most importantly, it's by default, it's always going to come up as today. Now I can go back in time. So I can use these toggle arrows here. So I can go back and I can look at, you know, the day before. So that's the 15th. There's some time there that's been recorded. I can go back again, or I can select a date. So I can actually go back a month. I can go forward. I can go back here and select a specific day. And then if I want to quickly get back to today without toggling back or going here, I could just click on today here, and that just goes back to today, the 16th. So that's how that works. So really good usability. As I said before, that's sitting at red because no one on this screen has actually recorded any time. Obviously, once someone does start recording time, then basically that's all going to populate with time recorded in minutes. So basically, if I go to my timesheet here, I'll just quickly put something on the timesheet. So I can go create, select an item, select a job. And let's do, say, this one. And yep, that's fine. I'll just go create. Cool. So now I've got that on there. Obviously, I can just expand that out a little bit more. And then when I go back now to dashboard, and let's say I look at this screen here, you can see automatically it's actually showing that it's actually got 1 staff member out of the 4 that's actually started to record some activity. And there it is there. So you can see that that time that I've just put onto the timesheet has activated that 1 person out of the 4, and that person has activity recorded. So activity screens, that's pretty much how you look at the setup, and that's how you look at the usability from viewing it. Back to the settings, agenda screen. So let's have a look at setting one of those up, so you get a good understanding of how you can actually customize these further for your organization. So settings, agenda screen. As I said, I've got the ability here to obviously create a new one. I've got existing ones already, so I can actually click on these and I can actually update them further. So I can click on update, message, I can do the filters, I can assign members to it, etc., etc. Let's go through a new one. So let's just go back here. Let's create a new one. So let's call this one drafting. Is the name of the screen. Now underneath item, I've got the option to go project, lead, or job. So I'm going to go job. I'm going to go create. Now that's the first step. So now this is what I call step 2. This is putting the extra layers on top of it, because at the moment I've set it up with a name. I've set it up as an item being the job. But now when I come in here, it's picking up all the types, all the statuses, all the operations, all the labor centers. So I want to refine this further. So I click on filters. Then basically up here, so this is what I was mentioning before in the slides, you can do either all job types or you can do selected. So you can break this down further as you require. And if you go selected, you get this extra line and it's applying those extra filters. So if you've got drafters working on builder, commercial, and residential, you might say that's the only job types that I want to select or assign to this particular screen. If you want it to be open to all, then you just basically go all. Statuses. So I can either go all statuses or I can go selected. Now it makes sense for this being drafting to go selected and then set this up to be the drafting status, which is really going to then allow me to go selected for the operations and specifically set this up for these tasks to show by mapping the operations that I want. So if I've got like drafting in here, I can select drafting. If they do check measure, they do check measure. If they have to check site photos, I can assign all that. So see if I got anything set up for drafting. Yep, there's one there, or there was one there. So I can assign what I want there as operations to this screen. So that's using the selected option. Now, same with labor centers. I can either go all, or I can filter this down to selected. And then the drafting team may have their own labor center. So it makes sense for me to match the labor center up to this screen for drafting. And then I don't worry about any other labor centers for this particular agenda screen. Now, once I've done that, I click on save, and that's customized the drafting agenda screen specifically for that area. So all the jobs that come through, once it hits the status of drafting, I'm going to be showing check measure, drafting, draft approval on there. Now I can put a message here. So this is a permanent message that you want to display on the screen. So I can say, please remember to record all time against drafting tasks. Click save, and that is a message that's permanently going to display on the screen. Now I can invite members to it. So I can click on members and I can say, well, which staff members do I want to have access to being able to view this screen? So I can go through and go, this person, then I can select this person, and so forth and so forth. So selecting the members who you want them to actually see this particular screen from either the Office login dashboard, or they could be a kiosk mode user. So they're actually going to have this on their kiosk dashboard when they actually log in with their PIN code. Share. So as I said before, you can actually share this, not necessarily sharing it to another user, but if you wanted to put it on a big screen TV in the drafting area, you can basically come in here, you can go share, copy that. Again, you open up a new browser link on the TV, because you've got to use internet TVs for these, and you can go right click and go paste and go, and then you log yourself out of your Jobman, and then this stays on that screen for those staff to be able to see all day. Now, we have had a little bit of feedback that these aren't auto updating, so we have made some refinements to these recently. I'm not sure if it's actually been released just yet out to the network. If it hasn't, it is coming in the very next release, which might happen in the next, maybe today, or if not early next week. But these are designed to have some time interaction now. So basically, if there's no sort of mouse activity for a certain period of time, it might be like, say, 30 seconds, then it's just designed to automatically refresh so that, you know, the time keeps updating. Also, once tasks get completed or progress gets updated, it's going to automatically refresh. So I think, yeah, it was initially rolled out, and just we haven't massaged the settings or refine them to that point of where we wanted to get them to, but that is something that is going to be rolled out if it hasn't already. So again, if you wanted to delete the screen you're not using anymore, you've got that option. So that's how easy it is to set it up. As I said, from a usability side of things, back on your dashboard, you can basically see your agenda screens here. You can see the drafting one I just set up. So there it is there. You notice that these are traffic light system again, so red or green. So green's basically saying that the tasks on the agenda screen are being worked on, or if it's got 0 tasks on there at the moment, by default it's going to sit as green. And you can see this one here has got 4 tasks on there, and none of them have been completed yet, so they're all sitting under pending. But that's how easy it is. So once you actually set something up, you can see how the way I applied those filters there. I come straight in from a dashboard view, I open it up, and there's already tasks from jobs being created with actual workflows, with those tasks with an operation map to it, which is now showing on the agenda screen. As I said to you before, it's going to default automatically for you. So the target date due closest to today. So if you've got something with a target date due for tomorrow, for example, the 17th, that's going to be up the top of the screen. If you've got another task that is due on Monday, then that's going to sit underneath. If you've got one that's in 3 weeks' time, that's going to sit under. So they will auto sort themselves out. Again, you can hover over any of these headings. You can click on the down arrow. You can go to columns. You can turn columns on or off by ticking or unticking those filters. You can expand those widths out of those columns. So you can customize this for your dashboard view. But it's showing the most important information. It's also showing on these ones here a little warning symbol. So once something does go past the target date due, not only does that go into red instead of being black, but you get this little warning icon. So it's actually saying to the staff that look at the screen all the time that that's gone past the target date due. As I said before, the times are recorded over here for the particular task. There's the estimated time of 3 hours. So that's what we call budgeted. And then once they start recording time in the very front to the left here, it's going to start updating that. Obviously, it shows you the progress, and that's all driven by when staff start to record time against that task. So once they click start here, they start recording time, then they go back and you notice there the little hourglass comes up. So that's actually showing you that there's time being recorded at the moment. Now, if I go back and say pause, there you go. By default, once you start recording, by default, it's going to say 5%'s been done. But if I've been working on this for an hour out of the 3, then I can update it and say, well, 35% of it is actually now updated. So it's really important to make sure that your staff are educated on how important to the organization, not only the recording of the time is, but the updating of the progress. And if they're forgetting to do that, then they can also, come in here and go set progress and update that. Because that there automates everything that we've been looking at. As I said before, the main purpose of this is not just to have a glorified time in attendance. It's actually giving staff the ability to go, okay, we can actually record time. We can also mark this as completed. And then when that gets completed, it then bumps off my agenda screen and then moves on to someone else's, or it updates to the next task and target date due, and it stays on my screen, or it stays on this drafting screen. So that's what we call having fingers at the pulse, is by having not only just staff going, yep, let's start recording, or let's pause, or let's stop, but just by updating that progress. And as I said, it is a bit of an estimation. It is relying on them to go, well, look, 3 hours have been allocated. I've done an hour. I believe I've done about 35, 40% of it. I'm not quite through 50% of it, but I'm just before that. So it's not too hard to quickly, indicate or mark what your progress update is. And as I said, for other users in the company, having that level of attention to detail just allows you to answer queries or questions or inquiries from customers about where their job's at, just by using the software without having to go and ask someone else, or that person doesn't know, then you've got to go and ask someone else, and that person doesn't know, then you're going to go and ask someone else. By but by asking that question, you've also decreased productivity because everyone's had to stop what they're doing at that particular time to try and answer a question that they're not up to date with. They were the main things that I wanted to get through. So what I'll do now is hand over for the next few minutes to you guys. If you've got any questions, shoot them through. We'll do a bit of a Q&A before we wrap up this morning's webinar. But yeah, hopefully what I've gone through there really opens up the eyes now to yeah, it's just this software has many layers to it, and it's more than just recording time and tracking time. It's we can actually get those productivity updates. We can track productivity. We can see things on a dashboard, on a user dashboard. We can drill into things a little bit further. If we're getting staff to use that percentage or progress update percentage, then that is, sometimes it's the difference of actually then going and escalating something to get it as a priority before it actually goes past a target date due. And then once it goes past one target date, you kind of got a bottleneck there straight away. You're playing catch up. So yeah, having this intelligence, having this automation is so beneficial to an organization with multiple staff doing different things and different tasks throughout the day. I'll give it a couple more minutes with questions before we move on and start to wrap up for this morning. I got a question come through. Where can I find the links to these videos? That's a good question. I will show you. Let me just pull up Jobman again. So if you go into help here, and once this little pop-up window in the bottom right opens up, if you just type in, I think I called them online. Yep, online workshops library. Click on that help article there. And I've got them all in there. So you can see here, there's the very first one that we ran. There's the second one. There's the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, there's last week's. And then obviously once we've finished, we'll get this week's up there. So yeah, they're all in there. So yeah, you can open that up further and get it into a full page mode. And then yeah, there's all those videos. So yeah, we put them into the software. They're all obviously on YouTube platform. But yeah, we've got them all in the software, so you can watch them again, or if you've got other staff that are going to get benefit out of these, by all means, show them where that is, and then they can watch it as well. But yeah, we've got a really good library building up in there at the moment. And that's just a good little FYI as well. We've got some really good documentation around what we've done today. So if you actually type in, let's just get rid of that. So type in activity. So we've got some really good activity documentation. So, creating an activity screen. So yeah, this is all really good. Lots of good documentation in here that I've worked hard on getting, obviously video, which is to walk through how to sort of set these up like I demonstrated earlier. And then, yeah, putting some screenshots in here and some easy to read content because, being able to do this on your own time zone or in your own time is so important nowadays. Okie dokie. Cool. Well, I think that's probably all the questions we've got coming in for today. So I think I've done a pretty good job of obviously explaining our topic. So let's just do a little bit of a wrap up. So the next couple of minutes, we'll wrap up today's session. So the next steps, so the takeaways from today's workshop, obviously have a go, implement some of the key steps shown today, which is no doubt going to benefit your organization further. It's going to keep your definitely your staff engaged. It's going to give them, especially with agenda screens, it's going to give them with all the relevant information that they need to know. So that's important. And obviously getting them to update the progress percentage is going to be important for the organization. So you guys can keep track of exactly where jobs, leads, projects, and task specific are at. Any questions? So if you get off this workshop and you're like an hour or two later or throughout the day, you're like, damn, I should have asked that question. I'm stuck on that now. No need to worry. Just email us. So help@jobman.com.au. Email us your question. If you've got an issue, if you've come across something that you feel is not quite working right, send it through to us. We're here to help, and we'll get back to you pretty much within a few hours. So that's how much on top of the support platform we are with Jobman software. Don't forget, register for next week's e-learning workshop. Next week's topic, we're going to go back to quoting, and we're going to go back to quoting better and faster. So that'll be next week's topic, and that's going to start to really look at. We looked at profit-driven quotes last week, but this one's going to look at setting up some of the components like products and presets and things like that so that we can quote accurately, but also a lot faster, a lot more efficient. Don't forget, please complete our short workshop online survey. Again, your feedback is so important. It's the only way we can make these sessions better each week. Just a reminder, you can watch this session again shortly once we put it into the help documentation. And until next time, thanks again for joining us. Appreciate giving up an hour of your valuable time throughout your day thus far to join us to learn a lot more about the software and become more educated and become more of a confident user, which is just more benefit to your organization. So until next week, enjoy the rest of this week, and we'll catch up with you for our next topic, which is quoting better and faster. Bye for now.